really, this was, if you recall, back in 2016, 2017, there were these incredible protests of the Dakota Access Pipeline in North Dakota. A company called Energy Transfer was building a pipeline adjacent to the Standing Rock Indian Reservation. That drew thousands and thousands of protesters there, and at times it got quite heated. The demonstrations got a little violent. The protesters were sometimes handled in some pretty aggressive ways there. And that resulted in this lawsuit. That pipeline was eventually built, but this resulted in this lawsuit where Greenpeace is sued by Energy Transfer, the company that built the pipeline. And Energy Transfer said that Greenpeace essentially played a significant role in fomenting the unrest there, and that had a major impact on Energy Transfer's business. So this is almost a decade ago. This case has continued forward, and there's a lot of resentment between these two parties, resulting today in the $660 million verdict against Greenpeace.
Why is the verdict so consequential?
On a couple levels. I mean, financially, it is a huge blow to Greenpeace. First of all, they were at $340 million was what Energy Transfer was initially asking for. And it turned out to be $660 million awarded by this jury, or potentially even more. Greenpeace had said that kind of money is 10 times more than we even have in our operating budget. This will bankrupt us. We'll no longer be able to do our responsibilities here. And I think what they were saying is that this was a free speech lawsuit because of the scope of the money that they were asking for, that Energy Transfer knew that if they won, they'd basically be shutting down one of their big opponents and taking away their ability to have protests like these you're seeing right now.
Well, we've seen a lot in the last couple of weeks of what's been going on. You know, the whole Tesla situation where somebody is, there are those out there trying to destroy the Tesla company, burning the product, burning the stores that on there, attacking people's personal owned property that owns these vehicles. Besides that, you have protests at Columbia University, many others, pro-Palestine situation, which has also turned violent, and there are deportations happening, and people are like, oh, no, it's a freedom of speech. Okay. And I'll say this, and this is the same thing, and I call the Tesla attacks terrorism. There's a point where you could say, hey, I'm out there to protest, which I have no problem. You want to go out and protest peacefully? That's okay. That's your given right here in the United States of America. It's in the Constitution. But there is a moment when you become violent, when you threaten death, destruction, which has happened. You've seen this for the last several years with Antifa, Black Bloc, what's left of BLM at this point. I said it, what's left of them, because a good chunk of them have walked away with millions and millions of dollars. And other groups that are out there in different subject matters, from climate to education, to energy sources, that are out there protesting, and their protests become violent and destructive, and gets to the point where it becomes a nuisance. Defamation, because they spew out lies about certain things that basically they don't have all the information to. They say, well, we have the science to the situation. In certain subject matters, we have the science, but actually it's just crib notes. And there are experts out there that will freaking denounce them and put to the situation. Now, the reason we're bringing this up, and you clicked on this and you say, what, get on with this. Get on with this.
Yes, get on with
it. Greenpeace. Now, you're familiar with Greenpeace organization? I've seen this rise and fall all in one shot in my lifetime. For the reason is that Greenpeace is not the same Greenpeace as it was when it was first founded. You can ask many former members of Greenpeace, and they'll tell you, quoting someone like Patrick Moore, who was a co-founder, ran the group for quite some time and walked away and said, You know the reason why I walked away? Because the peace of Greenpeace is gone. There is no peace to the situation, and it's become a danger to the. And there are videos out there because they say, "Well, we're expressing our freedom of speech." Again, there's a line between freedom of speech and then becoming radical and terrorism acts. This has happened. If you remember the North Dakota Pipeline protests and stuff like that, and how ugly it really got. And the thing about it is, we have not completed that pipeline. It was an important pipeline because people say, "Well, it's gonna hurt the water there," and but they're not pushing out the proof that it's going to do it. It's the same thing with fracking to the situation. They throw all this stuff out and they throw all these lies and situations. And some of it's fabricated, and they've been debunked to the situation, and they harm these companies. And they're realizing that basically, something like this, the Dakota Pipeline would help greatly move oil safely across the U.S. down south, versus running it by train or running it by truck, which is there's more of a possibility of a crash or derailment, which that would be an ecological nightmare. But this is the same groups that basically, the people that they didn't want us to use fuel. They don't want to use oil. They want to use natural gas. They're trying to change the word natural gas to methane. But but the reality is it's natural from the earth, to that situation on there. Now, there was a lawsuit brought upon Greenpeace, and the mainstream media hasn't really carried this. And this was up from the companies that were trying to build the pipeline, which people lost their jobs because of this. And we're going to read this from the New York Post. Jury finds Greenpeace must pay hundreds of millions in case over North Dakota pipeline protest. This could spell, if this goes the way it's going right now, and especially now that we got the appeals coming, they're going to appeal this and all that, and if it stays in contact, this is most likely going to be the end of Greenpeace. A North Dakota jury on Wednesday found Greenpeace liable for defamation and other claims brought by a pipeline company in connection with the protest against the Dakota Access Pipeline. The 9-person jury awarded the Dallas-based Energy Transfer and its subsidiary Dakota Access hundreds of millions of dollars in damages. And just before we go any further, this was supposed to be like half of the situation. I think it was like $330 million. The jury awarded them double that. The lawsuit had accused the Netherlands-based Greenpeace International, Greenpeace USA, and funding arm Greenpeace Fund Inc. of defamation, trespass, nuisance, civil conspiracy, and other acts. The case reaches back to the protest in 2016 and 2017 against the Dakota Access Pipeline and its Missouri River crossing upstream of the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe Reservation. For years, the tribe has opposed the line as a risk to its water supply. Now, from what I understand, and I could be wrong to the situation, not everyone in the tribe believed that. It was like a mixture back and forth to the situation. It's like I've always said, it's like a three-edged sword. You have one group that believes in one thing, another group that believes in the other, and then the third part of it, it's the truth. What is the truth of the situation? The multi-state pipeline has been transporting oil since the mid-2017. Plaintiff's attorney Trey Cox has said Greenpeace has carried out a scheme to stop the pipeline's construction. During opening statements, he alleged Greenpeace paid outsiders to come in to the area and protest, sending blockade supplies, organized or led protest trainings, and made untrue statements about the project to stop it. Attorneys for Greenpeace entities said there was no evidence to the claims that Greenpeace employees had little or no involvement in the protests, and the organizations had nothing to do with the energy transfer, delaying construction or refinancing. Greenpeace representatives said that the lawsuit is the first critical test of First Amendment free speech, which is not, and protest rights, and could threaten the organization's future. See, this is the other half of it. And they said free speech and protest rights. You don't have the right to disrupt the business. You don't have the right to destroy property. You don't have the right to attack personnel or to hold back personnel from getting to their jobs. You don't have the right to attack the people that are going to finance the businesses, like the banks and stuff like that, to go after them, threatening them. You don't have the right to that. That is not a protest. Okay? You understand that? This is not a free speech situation. Let me finish this off. A spokesman for the energy transfer previously said the lawsuit is about Greenpeace not following the law, not free speech. And that's true. That's absolutely true. Because basically, you have people that, that are just literally eco-terrorists. They don't give a shit. They just want to care. They say, well, we want to save the future. And I think Patrick Moore had said in an interview,
well, my fear is that they will succeed in their agenda, which is to eliminate 98% of all the world's energy supply. And, we don't just need food. That's our personal energy to keep our bodies running. But they're against so many things that we need in order to survive. And yet, at the same time, they're saying, if we don't stop using these things, we'll all die. That's not right. That is simply not correct. I mean, fossil fuels actually have contributed immensely to the wealth of this world, but they're against wealth. They actually, I don't know what their vision is, going back to hoeing your own weeds in your front yard or something in your little mud hut. It seems to me that's where they're taking us if we listen to them. And so the hypocrisy of the situation is rampant. I've been tweeting, they want to put us in jail for being skeptical of the climate scam. I want to put them in jail for using fossil fuels. I want to catch them. I want to have an army of people going out and catching these guys using fossil fuels. Like Leonardo DiCaprio would take about 3 seconds to catch him, right? He should be tried and convicted of hypocrisy or something, because he's saying we should stop using fossil fuels with a 350-foot yacht and private jets.
That basically what has happened is you have people in there that they used to wanted to protect the environment. Now they want to deem how was it put that mankind, humankind, however you want to put it, is the enemy of the environment, and that basically we should be snuffed out, to that point situation. See, as many experts will tell you, true experts, we need the fossil fuels. We need the natural gas right now at the moment. What can we replace with it? Well, we could replace it with nuclear energy, which they don't want. The radicals don't want. We can go with hydroelectric, which they don't want either. They have the mentality that we could live on solar and wind farms to satisfy our energy needs. Not going to happen. It's already failing. People say, "Oh no, it's okay. It's working okay." There are places that are already ready to close down. The Germans have already had that issue. Now they have to buy energy from outside of their country, because at one time they weren't energy dependent. Now they are. And they have to go with other countries like France, and they have to buy from their energy from there. There are, environment issues with some of these wind farms and solar panels when it comes to disposal, because basically they don't have a proper way to dispose or recycle these things. The other half, it's hurting the environment. We've seen situations with whales, turtles, and many other species, in those areas that live in those areas where the wind farms are, the ones that are by the ocean, the solar panels that are in the desert. They say, well, we put it in the desert, there's nothing there. Yeah, of course there are things there. There are things that live there, and you're killing them. And the thing about it is they don't generate enough electricity. It doesn't. It's minuscule. You can't, you have certain parts of the world that, the sun lasts a lot longer than others, and you might get away with it with a small amount locally. But when you look, like, for example, you look at New York City. in the fall, winter part of the season, we lose light about 4 or 5 o'clock. The sun starts going down around, I'd say between 3:30 and 4, it starts to come down. So that means you lose power at that point. You lose on there, and you don't get it. And the thing about it is, because of the winter and stuff like that, and we get overcast heavily, we don't have the sun out all the time. So solar panels are not going to be well taken. It's the same thing with wind farms, with these wind units on there. Wintertime, you pop more energy to keep those machines rolling than you put out toward energy, because those units freeze up because of the low temperature if they happen to be in an area where there is a winter and they get low temperatures to that point. And then there are days that, in some areas you don't get any wind at all. That basically the wind doesn't blow. So what do? This is the stupidity to this nature. We need oil. We need that, gas, natural gas, fracking, and all this situation, because we don't have a replacement. You got to put to this perspective. China, Russia, India, they're building nuclear plants left and right. The other half of this is, and this is what some countries are starting to do, and we need to look more into it. Patrick Moore puts this out too, that we need to look into taking coal, which we have tons of it, and creating fuel from coal. We've done it before. It's possible. People say, well, let's do it with wood. And it doesn't work out well. We can't go back to doing that again. Coal will be able to to fuel things if we, God forbidding, if we run out of fuel in our lifetime. If we run out of oil. It's going to happen. It's going to. So you see all these people that they throw at you that basically, the environment's going to die. It's, we need to reduce our carbon footprint. Now I'm going to put in this. I'm not no scientist, but I do read. I went to school, and I remember my ecology classes. There are things on this planet that uses CO2. Yeah, that's right. There are things on this planet that use CO2. We need CO2. Do you know why we need CO2? We need carbon? Because plant life needs CO2. There are living things on this planet that live and breathe using CO2, and they expunge oxygen into the air. Reducing we're at a low level right now because of all this bullshit. We need to increase the level at least to, 1,000th per millionth or something like that. That's what they're saying is, I think we're down to 400, which is it's ridiculous. We're at a danger point. We go any further down, plants will die. And guess what happens? Every living thing on this planet will die. But see, these people, these activists, these radical, these eco-terrorists, they're not thinking this. They're not thinking this at all. They say, we got to save the planet. The planet doesn't need saving. We're the problem. We're the one that's being destructive, not by the oil, not by the pollution or anything of that nature, but by trying to remove it. George Carlin said in a comedic bit a long time ago, maybe the earth created man because it needed plastic. And that's a joke, to that situation. The earth wanted plastic. It's an earth plus plastic. You remember that bit. If you remember, it's a funny bit. But think about this for a minute. The planet might have needed us to extract that oil, to extract those gases on there, because it could be a situation. We use that for our energy. We use, do you like watching your TV? Do you like using your refrigerator, your stove? They say, well, we can use electric. You still need power to run it. Solar panels are not going to do it. Wind farms are not going to do it. We need to spend money we have places like Georgia is I believe they're putting a small nuclear reactor is going to be active very soon. We need to put more money into nuclear reactors, hydrogen energy. We need to look for other other forms of energy that will continue us. Because when that fuel finishes, we're going to have an issue. It's not saving the planet from the oil or from the pollution. It's saving the planet from us dying from the cold, from not having food or oxygen. That's where we have to concentrate on. Now, this particular case, this jury on there, I'm right on it. Because you saw the videos, you saw the violence that was going on at these encampments. They want to protest, that's fine. You don't like what they're doing, that's fine. Don't impede what they're doing. Don't print lies to what they're doing. Don't damage the things that they're doing, because you may cause something that could be irreparably, we might not be able to fix. You may cause an ecological damage, because they don't care about this. You've heard this before. They've burnt construction, these eco-terrorists, they've burnt down areas that they're building housing. They've burnt it down. They caused major fires to this situation. Just getting back to the Tesla situation. You've seen what they're doing. They're burning down Tesla dealerships. This is the same thought patterns that these people have. And like I said, there's a group that they're radicals and eco-terrorists and stuff, and then you have those on the other side of the same that are part of the same group that are making money off of it. Think about that. This is what's going on. And I tell you, you don't have to trust what I say. Go out and learn it for yourself. Do what I did. Educate yourself. Educate how all this works. That's the best way to do it. Learn how they put these things together. How these pipelines work. Where do they go? What happens if, there's something that happens on these pipelines? Do they tend to crack more often? Is transporting by train and boat and by truck safer? Which actually it isn't. Think to all those parameters to that situation. Remember, other countries are doing it better than us. Yeah, even China. As much as, the reason, and I'll say this again, the reason why you see that those plumes air, and I know some people say in the comment line, is because there are certain rules and regulations they don't impose when it comes to their manufacturing. There are filters that wouldn't cost them that much to add to their smokestacks and to situate it into their manufacturing and all that would keep the air cleaner. And it still would produce a lot of energy. And before you comment, I was going to sit and think, what would the world be like if we had no more oil, we had no energy reserves or anything to that nature? Think about that for a minute. Think about how you couldn't grow food. You couldn't get proper water supply. What would happen? Yeah. Yes, that's right. You would die. Take that moment and put that in your mind, and comment. Let me know your thoughts about this situation. I'll tell you, it's a lot. It's a lot to ingest. There's a lot more I could have talked. I could have sat here for another hour to talk about this, but we're not going to. We're just going to let you go out there, learn for yourself. Take that moment. Take it, ingest it, understand it, and see these people are wrong. These people are totally wrong to the situation. But like I said, this is going to come back on an appeal on there. So do comment, like, share this video. And hey, listen, we're about between 1316, 1320 on there. Let's get it up a bit. I know we've been a bit slow lately. We've taken a little step back as far as, I had some family issues, some things I had to resolve. That's finally some things are finally coming to an end after over 3 years of the situation. Also, I've injured myself. I've gotten sick. So my health has come first. So I've taken a bit of a sort of semi-leave from the internet and all that. But I'm still producing content, so you'll be able to find it on there. Be sure to check us up on Rumble as well. Do subscribe to us on Rumble. on there. So you'll be able to continue to gain all this nice information from us. So until next time, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye now.